A nice, calm video response to TJ. So I'm speaking to TJ now. He's said that he won't respond to people calling him a racist. Look, you didn't respond to the videos where people didn't call you a racist. Okay, where they just said your stupid philosophy is just that stupid. So yeah, I'm gonna say that, okay, I think we can call you a racist because you're smart enough to know where this leads. You're saying we should essentially de-employ and dehouse people based on people's bigotries. And we know where those are going to lie. Blacks are 10% of the population. We know there's plenty of communities that would like them not to be around because it's a pain in the ass, because too many of them, by percentages, right? It's all about percentages of a class, are troublemakers, you know? They're uppity niggers. And so you can't deal with the uppity niggers. And yeah, we just eliminate the problem. And so we'll just do the Nazi-esque thing. I mean, first we'll de-employ them, and then we'll put them in slums because they won't be employable. They won't have an income. They won't have a life. So they'll have to make a life for themselves in some little isolated, segregated little worlds. You know, I don't know how far this disenfranchisement you would have go, but sure. I mean, because there's no intellectual honesty here. You sit there and make a qualifier that, yeah, if it's a business in the desert and it's the only gas for miles, yes, they'd have to serve them. So all of a sudden it's not a principle of absolute freedom anymore. It's conditional freedom. It's conditional right to be a bigot. And you're saying to me that logically we can't make the condition that discriminating based on race or gender, disability, ethnicity, religion is bullshit. Is absolute bullshit. So we can't make that distinction. We can make distinctions about a business in the desert, but we can't make that distinction. I suppose as a libertarian, then you would also make the argument we shouldn't have any laws against pollution. So we shouldn't, you know, that's the real, you know, businesses hate these environmental regulations. So we can know certain enough that pollution is wrong, but we can't know certain enough that race, bigotry, and discrimination is wrong. That's your fucking argument. There's no doubt you support some sort of pollution laws, some sort of imposition of social judgment on business, telling it can and cannot do certain things. So you obviously support, I think, some of those regulations and laws, and you're going to make the argument to me that we're more certain about the evil of certain kinds of pollution than we are certain that discriminating against people based on their race is ludicrous and idiotic. We can't say that as a society. It's just not a truth enough yet. It's not a big enough truth for us to say it as a society. And that's just plain idiotic. It's insane. It's insipid. And you're going to tell me you're an intelligent person and you haven't thought that far, and so I'm supposed to say that he's doing this for some reason? I mean, he's saying, you know, this isn't all discrimination you're eliminating. No, you're talking about specific discrimination. And businesses have a right to do a lot of discriminating now based on a lot of arbitrary nonsense. They have a lot of freedom to decide who they're going to hire. I mean, if you don't have, you got too many earrings, you got too many this, too many that, they're going to force you to conform to their standards of what a human being should be. And you're all for that conformity. You're all for allowing business even more power now to force us to conform. We not only have to conform in how we live or how we dress, we now have to conform in what our genetic structure is. We now have to alter our genetic structure to satisfy some bigoted fucking CEO. And then you call that progressive thinking? That's not liberty. That's not freedom. That's bullshit. That's monarchy. That's dictatorship. That's the worst kind of fascism. Rule by the CEO. You know, there's so many factors to this that you know. You know the percentages. You know the obvious disadvantages of minorities. I think you can probably figure out the fact that you know, black people don't have what's called legacy wealth. They haven't been able to take advantage of the last 200 or 300 years of this fucking society. All right, no advantage whatsoever. They had all the disadvantages, in fact. All right, so they don't have any legacy to live off of. They don't have any power. So this isn't a fair fight. You're talking as if this is some sort of fair hate fight. It's bad enough that you're advocating a hate fight, where you're saying, yes, we should all discriminate against each other. We all should be liberated to do that. It's bad enough you would advocate something that stupid. But to advocate it in an environment where you know the other guys are weak, where you know they don't have any power, is just such bullshit. I mean, you know, that's worse than kicking somebody in the balls. You're fighting like such a little wimpy girl there. Now, I've done something sexist, okay? Not allowed to do sexist things anymore, so I have to retract that statement and say you're fighting like sissy. You're just fighting like, well, sissy might be a feminist wrong too. But anyway, that's what you're doing, okay? You're disgracing yourself, advocating that kind of fight. Because it's not a fair fight. It's a completely unfair fight, and you're smart enough to know that. So let's talk about the rest of it. I mean, if you advocate, like I said, if you can't figure out this kind of discrimination is wrong, I suppose you must, in principle, say minimum wage is wrong. There's no way we should be imposing that on businesses. I mean, what an onerous thing to say to a business that they can't exploit surpluses in labor, that they don't have to respect the fundamental dignity of human beings, that they can just force them to outbid each other to feed their families. So that must be another premise of your bullshit philosophy, is that no, there shouldn't be any minimum wage. We have to give the legacy wealth, people with power, people control of the capitalist industry, we have to give them all the power and give no rights to the individual. Fuck the individual. That's what libertarianism means. It means, yes, liberate the capitalist, fuck the serfs, fuck the peasants, fuck the people who do the work. It's disgusting. So I'm sure you're against the minimum wage. Sure, you're against Social Security and Medicare too. You know, we can't guarantee people any of that shit. Why should we tax businesses for those kind of funds? Unemployment insurance? Yeah, fuck that. Workman's comp? Fuck that, right? These are all horrible impositions on the poor businessman. And so just make sure you put your whole philosophy out there. Let's get the whole fucking story of exactly what your priorities in life and who the hell should have power in our society. Because all you're doing, this is just disgusting bullshit that you're spouting. And as I pointed out, I think that a fair argument can be made that no one would advocate this bullshit. There's just no excuse. There's no reason to advocate it. You have to have some sort of motivation behind it. All right? Because it's the least onerous imposition on a business owner is fair practices in employment and providing services. That's the least onerous of all the fucking impositions piled on business. And you fucking know it. And you know, logically, there's no way you can defend the premise that society can know all these other things, that healthcare is important, that you know, employment is important, that well, that's not one of the ones you think is important, sorry, that pollution is wrong, that it can know these things and that it somehow can't know the rest. I mean, and you really should have addressed some of the arguments. I mean, you made them over a 10-minute video again, whatever it was. I can't tell. Now that you're a partner, you can't see how long the fucking videos are. And that's really annoying. I mean, that's one reason not to be a partner, I think, is just because they screw up that damn clock. I mean, I don't want people stuck watching a video they don't know how long it is. Fuck that bullshit. But anyway, I mean, I don't know why I have to change the design of the goddamn video player. What a pile of shit. But anyway, you made a plenty long enough video that you could have addressed some of the points raised by other people. And one of the most important points is why would any peasant, any person who isn't living off a legacy wealth, who has to earn their living, why would they invest in a society that would say to them, we're not gonna guarantee you a right to work, to be treated with dignity, to be treated like a human being? Why would they invest in such a society? They'd have no reason to. They'd have every reason to just blow it the fuck up. Okay, all you're advocating is turning us into one of those other nations out there where hate is destroying them, where they have decided it's okay, let's embrace our differences, let's wallow in our differences, and then let's force our differences to spill blood out of each other's bodies. And that's exactly what you're advocating. There's nowhere this can go but segregation, especially when you start talking about employment. And you wouldn't mention housing, but it has to apply to that also, I imagine. And that's just the prescription. You're just writing the fucking goddamn Hitler prescription. Okay, let's disempower, let's segregate, and then let's kill. And so I just think you ought to be fair about it. Okay, if you're going to offer people nothing, if you're going to offer people no fucking hope, you should at least have the integrity to walk up to them, put a bullet in their head, put them humanely out of their misery. But if all you want to do is live to exploit people, fuck you. I hope you drop fucking dead, as you wished upon a little 16-year-old girl at one time, because you're just a blight on the human fucking race. I mean, it's just fucking disgusting.